everyone, I'm Matt Dolan with Dolan Divorce Lawyers in Connecticut, and today I'm going to talk about the specifics of divorce when one of the parties who is getting the divorce is a Amtrak employee. So many aspects of the divorce are going to be the same as any other divorce that doesn't involve a Amtrak employee, and that includes child custody, child support, alimony, division of assets, and debts. Those things are essentially going to be the same, and I've created other videos that you can watch that talk about those aspects of a divorce. But one thing that is different is a niche within the division of assets, which has to do with the specific retirement and medical benefits of a Amtrak employee. So most employees, they may have a 401k plan or a pension plan. Pension plans are more rare, but they most likely have a 401k or 403b through their employer, and that account holds a specific amount of money which can be divided. Railroad employees, specifically Amtrak, their retirement benefits are much more complicated, and you want to make sure you understand all the layers of those retirement benefits and the nuances of those benefits as to whether or not they can be divided. So the first benefit we're going to talk about is the Railroad Retirement Board benefit package. And that includes the Tier 1 benefit and the Tier 2 benefit. So the Tier 1 benefit is essentially a replacement for Social Security. So most employees who are not railroad employees, they pay into Social Security, and when it comes time to retire, the US government, the Social Security Department, they pay a retirement benefit, a monthly amount to the employee, at the time of retirement. Railroad employees do not pay into Social Security, and they do not receive Social Security benefits unless, of course, they had some prior employment or separate employment that did pay into Social Security. So they instead pay into this Tier 1 Railroad Retirement Board benefit package, where a set amount of money comes out of their weekly or biweekly paychecks, and that goes into a fund that essentially is paid out like a pension. It's paid out similar to Social Security at the time of retirement. Now, you want to be aware of the fact that these benefits are usually significantly higher than Social Security benefits. So you want to make sure you get a valuation of that Tier 1 benefit and compare that valuation to the other assets, including the Social Security benefit of the other party to the divorce. And it's also important to be aware that the Tier 1 benefit, it cannot be divided at the time of divorce. So most retirement accounts, they can be divided by what's called a Qualified Domestic Relations Order. The short of it is QDRO, QDRO. And that's essentially a document that gets filed with the court and sent to the financial institution that divides the retirement account without there being any negative tax implications. You cannot divide a Tier 1 railroad retirement benefit, which is why it is important to get a valuation of that benefit in order to compare it to the other assets in the marital estate, which are being divided. So that's the Tier 1 benefit. Separate from that, there is a Tier 2 railroad retirement benefit, which is essentially an additional pension on top of the Tier 1 package. And again, there are withholdings that come out of the employee's paycheck to pay into that Tier 2 pension. And at the time of retirement, those benefits are paid out to the employee in the form of an annuity. Now, that Tier 2 benefit, it can be divided at the time of divorce. So you may divide it 50-50, or what's often done is you say, okay, the portion of the Tier 2 benefit that was accrued during the marriage, that portion will be divided 50-50, but any benefit that the employee accrued prior to the marriage, that remains their separate property. So how you divide it, depends on the negotiations and, the totality of your case and how other assets are divided, etc. But it's important to know that the Tier 2 benefit, it can be divided at the time of divorce, unlike that Tier 1 benefit. Now, separate from those benefits, somebody, if they are a current or former Amtrak employee, they may, and they became disabled, they may have some disability benefit that may or may not be able to be divided depending on the nature of that disability benefit. So if there is a disability benefit, you're going to want to make sure you talk to your attorney about the nuances of that benefit. So separate from those Tier 1 and Tier 2 benefits of the Railroad Retirement Board package, there is, separate from that, a traditional 401k plan. So that is where the employee and the employer pay into this plan, which essentially has a set amount of money in it, which is presumably invested into the stock market, and that balance of that account goes up and down, etc. So that is a account that's more traditional, and it can be divided at the time of divorce via quadro, where X amount of dollars is transferred to the non-Amtrak employee. Now, separate from all of those is the possibility of the existence of an additional pension. So longer-term employees who were working at Amtrak before 2015, they may have an additional pension beyond the Tier 1 and Tier 2 railroad retirement benefit packages. So you're going to want to make sure you figure out if a separate pension exists, and if so, how that is going to be divided. So that additional pension, it can be divided via quadro. And again, you may divide, you may split it 50-50, or you may, have the employee keep that asset in exchange for the non-employee keeping some other asset of equivalent value, or, you can divide it up different ways. You may say that the marital portion of the asset is divided 50-50. But there may be that existence of an additional pension for longer term employees. So those are the basics on the retirement accounts. And then you want to make sure you're also aware of the medical benefits. So Amtrak employees, whether they're current or former employees, they likely have a pretty robust medical benefit package that will likely be better than the medical benefit package of the non-Amtrak employee. So you just want to make sure you're aware of this during divorce negotiations, because the former spouse, they will no longer be on that medical benefit package. They'll either have to go out and get their own separate medical insurance, or their employer may have a medical benefit package that they offer. So you just want to make sure you're looking at the quality of those benefit packages, because it may ultimately result in the non-Amtrak employee having to pay more for medical care, and you're going to want to take that additional future cost into consideration when determining alimony, child support, division of the total assets, etc. So those are the basics on how a divorce involving a Amtrak employee can differ from your traditional divorce. So if you are looking for representation in a case that either involves you or your spouse being a Amtrak employee, we would invite you to contact our office. And as usual, if you have any additional questions, you can contact our office as well.